Hi guys, Sandy from the Paddle School. In this video today we're going to have an active recovery day. So we're going to do some balance and coordination followed by some stretching. And I'm sure that these two areas are areas that no one is doing when they're training for their paddle. So it's important now you've got time to really focus on these, and you can do these exercises and these sessions more often if you want. You can do them on the same days as the circuits and it will be benefit to you. So let's start with the balance. Now with the balance there are different progressions. I'm going to use my shoes for the exercises, but if you want to make it more difficult, you can take your shoes off, you can put yourself on a soft or uneven surface, and that will challenge you a little bit more. But to begin with, let's just start with single leg and moving the direction of your head. So a good way to start is just single leg and then to change the object of your focus. Now they say to make it easier to balance, you want to fix on something, but here we're trying to challenge your balance. So you want to move your head up and down, you want to fix your focus left to right. You're really trying to challenge your stability. Another good way to do it is to throw the ball. Now here you can just basically add a coordination exercise to your balance. Your eyes are following the ball, you throw some high balls, you throw some low balls, left to right hand, just different positions to try and again challenge your balance. If you've got a wall, then you can throw the ball against that wall, still focusing using left and right hand and making sure you spend equal time on both legs. Now a good way to do it is to do a few throws with one leg and then to switch legs during the throw, so you practice jumping, landing and your stability there, because that is a good way to practice that stability, is to jump, land and hold that stability, because this is very similar to what you would do on a paddle court or any other sports field. Changing the direction of your throw and catch will also challenge you. So here throwing sideways, catching sideways using the same hand and leg. And again, you can add the hop with the balance and stability there as well. You basically want to try and find as many different ways of challenging yourself when it comes to the balance as possible. So you're basically jumping left to right foot, you're using left and right hand, anything to make it difficult. So there were some exercises that you could do with the balance. These are obviously home workouts with no equipment, but if you're at a gym or you've got a Bosu where you can stand on the dome side of the Bosu or even on the flat side of the Bosu, this is another good way to challenge your balance and to improve that kind of coordination. Next we'll do some stretches. So I'll give you 10 to 12 exercises that you can do for both upper and lower body, and in this I normally hold it for about 30 seconds. Now I know there's loads of different views and opinions on how long you should be holding stretches, but this is just my opinion and that's what I like to do. You can do your own thing. So I'll give you these exercises and then you can do them on your own time. Now if you want, you can pause after each exercise, that way you can then hold that stretch and then move on to the next one, or you can just use this as a reference, watch all the way through and then do the session on your own. For me, the child pose is always a good start point. So here your basic child pose, then you're moving your hands to one side and then the other. Now if you put your hand over the top of the other hand, you'll really feel a good stretch through your back and through the sides of your back if you're moving to side. Now what I'd normally do is hold a few seconds or 5 seconds or so on each position and take your time when you're coming back up. A really important stretch for paddle players or all racket sports players is the wrist. Yeah, here you can see like my fingers are pointing towards my knees and I'm just leaning over there. I'm giving myself a little bit of a challenge so that I've got a bit of tightness in my forearms. It's not painful. I'm not going to an extreme here. I'm just trying to get some good mobility in my wrists. This is the threading the needle stretch. So you stretch one hand out to the side and you basically feel this in the rotation of the upper back. So the purpose here is you should feel this through your upper back, stretching one side and then the other. You go as far as you can and try and relax into that stretch. Now this is a very common tricep and upper back stretch, and you can see here that I'm pulling with my other arm, my elbow is close to my head, and you can see the difference. If my hand is reaching as far down my body as possible where there's a low angle, it's mainly tricep, and now if I'm reaching towards the other shoulder, it's more of the lats. You'll feel that if you try it. This is a nice chest stretch, so here you stretch one arm out to the side and then you rotate around with your head looking up and your left arm and left leg over to the other side until you feel the stretch in your right chest. You don't want to force it, and obviously you want to do both sides for equal time. Now with this rotational back exercise, normally I do double leg first and I'm not letting it flop down and then my hips come off. So I'm just doing control down to both sides. Try and get as much range of motion as I can without peeling off the ground. You might feel this is a little bit of core work here, but really it's also trying to build up a little bit of mobility in the rotation there, particularly in the back and lower back. Once I've done a couple to each side, I'll then switch to a single leg, and this is where I almost drop that leg right down to the ground, and I'm trying to get, you can see that that right hip now comes off because I want to get a little bit more flexibility there. This is a little bit easier to control. Obviously you're not using the core for this, so this is just purely a stretch. You want to try and bring that leg as far across as possible, keeping a relatively straight line with the other leg all the way up to your shoulders basically. These hip progressions are really important. So the first one, you lean back with your hands on the ground. You can then put your hands crossed in front of you, which is a little bit tougher. The next stage is to put your hands behind your head. See if you can change positions with your hands still in that position. And you'll probably find that one side is tighter than the other. I know I need to work on one side a lot more. The next one is then to come up with your hips off the ground. But really these require a lot of practice. And if you've got a weaker side, then that's the side you want to focus on. This pigeon stretch is another one where you just want to get into a comfortable position and just feel the muscles stretch. You don't want to force it. This is always a nice stretch to do, the adductor and hamstring stretch. So you start with your legs out in the V position and you just move slowly, holding in both positions, and then move across to the other side. This is quite a comfortable stretch to do, again, not forcing it too much. The last stretch is the calf stretch. So I'm doing this from the floor position with the straight back leg. You can also do this pushing against the wall, and you can even bend that leg if you want to get a bit more soleus involved. But this is really important to stretch these calf muscles as a paddle player. So like I said, today is an active recovery day. If you followed the last 6 days, today is your day off. Take it easy, eat well, get your energy back so that you can start again tomorrow for next week and train hard for next week. Now I'll put a playlist of all of this week's videos down, so next week if you wanted to do the same ones you can, but if it's gone well and you've enjoyed it, let me know in the comments down below, and potentially we can continue to do this by me shooting my daily trainings, and that way you can follow along with me.